Hey guys, welcome back to Interesting Video in Wild Rift. So today we're back with an Ashe updated complete guide, and as usual with these, of course, don't forget to check out the basic guide for Ashe that I'll put up in the cards above for her skills, leveling order tips and tricks, as well as some combos. So now previously, the unhit build on Ashe I thought was going to be the most ideal, but turns out now after some changes like we having PTA and things like that, I actually think going for this kind of crit build is actually going to be better. So we're going to jump straight into it. So first off, we actually don't have too much attack speed in this build, so in the very rare case we're not going to go for Gluttonous Greaves, we're actually going to go for Berserker's Greaves because we want to get the attack speed. So we get 35% attack speed, you get 20 AD, a lot less AD than the Gluttonous Greaves, but we get the 35% attack speed, which is what we're after. So after which, we're going to go into Bloodthirster. So Bloodthirster is of course going to give you the huge amount of AD, physical vamp, as well as the bonus stats for high on health. And then here is where we get our attack speed item, which is Runans. Now Runans of course also deals on-hit damage, gives you a little bit of AD, but most importantly allows you to attack 3 people simultaneously. And this is going to help increase your DPS by a lot in the long run, because obviously you're going to be able to attack 3 people at the same time, and in team fights this is absolutely huge, and you can do very good to decent damage on Ashe with this. And of course, to no one's surprise, we have IE as our next item, huge amount of AD, as well as of course getting a bonus damage. And then we of course, again no surprise here, have our Mole Reminder for the armor pen as well as the Grievous Wounds. So your last item, you do have a lot of options. So you guys can see that in the top builds, pretty much everyone is using a relatively similar kind of build, but they always go for Bork as the last item. Now you can of course go for Bork as the last item, because by this point in time, a lot of times you have tanky champions, and by tanky I mean not just tanky in terms of armor, but tanky in terms of health. So Bork of course gives you that on-hit current health damage, also gives you a lot more healing in terms of physical vamp, attack speed, things like that. So this is actually a really good item, just for a last item, because a lot of times you have Heartsteel users who are countered by Bork and just tanky champions in general in terms of health tankiness, so Bork is really good. But you might be thinking that we actually already have like 2 attack speed items here, so why do we still need to go for Berserker's Greaves? Well, basically because the last item, you get to it only in some games and not all the time, and this is going to be your only attack speed item, so that's why we still go for Berserker's Greaves. By default, I put my last item as Magnetic Blaster because this puts me to 100% crit and gives me the additional range. And now this additional range is really useful on Ashe in particular, because you can get that one auto attack down, which is going to slow the enemy, and that slow is going to of course allow you to just run them down. Also of course you get the static shift passive and attack speed, but mainly for the range. Now of course you have a lot of other options as well, like if you're in a lot of 5v5 team fights, Phantom Dancer just for the insane amounts of attack speed and the movement speed could be really good as well. GA for the revive, Immortal Shield Bow for the shield, all could be good as well. And for the runes, I believe PTA is going to be the best rune on Ashe. Now, although this is only single target and it's not as good as, like, for example, Lethal Tempo in team fights, however, I think that this makes Ashe's early game pretty strong. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, in lane, Ashe has a pretty high range, and you're able to proc PTA relatively easily, so it's gonna actually allow you to possibly get kills in lane, or at least not have a horrible laning phase, for one. And later on in the game, of course, the cooldown for PTA was buffed, so you have a 4-second cooldown, so in most teamfights you can proc it multiple times, because most teamfights last a good amount of time, so you can proc PTA multiple times in a teamfight, and you can still do really decent damage, and you already have kind of enough attack speed from your build without going for Lethal Tempo, so I think Empowerment or PTA is going to be the best rune here. Of course, Brutal because you auto attack a lot. Giant Slayer is generally the best here, and we have Alacrity for even more attack speed, and of course for the final rune you can go for Hex Splash, or you can go for Bone Plating. Now for the spells, I recommend Flash together with Ghost, if you can. If you really need Exhaust, then you can go for Exhaust, but Ghost is generally more advisable just because you have no dashes and things like that, so the mobility from the Ghost is pretty important. But with all that said, let's move on to talking about our gameplay. Okay, so now moving on to the gameplay. Of course, as usual, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Any questions, queries, or remarks, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I will, of course, be sure to address them or drop them a like. So let's get straight into it. With Ashe, honestly, her support doesn't really matter too much. She's not too support dependent. In fact, she is the most utility based ADC. She of course has slows on her auto attacks as well as things like her W. She of course provides vision with her E, and of course she has a global ulti which can be up to a 3-second stun. So here you can see we are kind of trading already with the Lucian and the Sona in lane. Now Lucian of course is a very strong early game champion that can do a lot of damage. However, Sona is not. Sona is just more of a nuisance because she can just poke you with her Q, which has very long range, and she can of course get that half-second stun, which can create problems if you're trying to chase into them or if you're running away from them. But by and large, Sona is not too big of an early game issue. Nami is pretty strong in the early game, and nowadays so is Ashe, especially with the Prestige attack. So we overall should have the advantage in this lane as long as we take intelligent trades and not let Lucian do too much damage. You can see that Sona is already taking a bunch of damage. Now Lucian now here goes in. I proc my PTA onto him and he's taking a bunch of damage, and here you can see how the trading really works. Now of course Nami is the main one getting focused. I'm still pretty much at full health, so I'm just trying to land my poke and land my auto attack in trade for Nami's health. So overall I would say the trade is pretty even. Of course Nami is taking the brunt of the damage here, so yeah. However, overall I would still say it's pretty even. Now kind of a small fight breaks out in the river there, but unfortunately we don't really have the priority to rotate. Neither is the enemy team though, but Jarvan is kind of getting dogpiled on and does end up going down. Now here you can see we are taking advantage of our range because Ashe does have the second highest base range of ADCs, only second to Caitlyn, and Lucian has the second worst range, second only to Nyla. So here you can see the power of Ashe. Kayn walks in, I proc my PTA onto him, and he actually nearly dies just coming into gank us, and now we get some damage onto Lucian as well. So if anything, he kind of baited his team into taking more damage than really even doing anything particularly productive. So you can't just run at Ashe. If you just run at Ashe, you're just going to get kited. You have to dash or flash on top of her, or basically just one-shot her, because if you're trying to run at her or you're trying to run away, she's just going to slow you down and you're going to take a lot more damage than what you expected. So here there's that irritating Sona stun that I was talking about, which kind of prevents me from really chasing into them to do any further damage. Now here I initially suspected that they were backing, which is why I'm pushing pretty hard, because I want to crash, but it turns out they didn't actually back. So now that we already are pushing into them, I'm just going to commit to the push, and we can push, get the priority, and then use this tempo for a reset instead of mucking about. So here of course the enemy team should probably be resetting as well. If they don't, that's definitely a mistake. So they do clear the wave and they do reset. However, we are in 2 to 3 seconds ahead of them, so we will reach the lane first, which will matter in certain cases. Here we send out the hawk shot to kind of scout where Kayn is. We spot him doing his blue clear, so most likely what he's doing now is he's taking his blue side camps and then he's going to rotate back to red side. So most likely we should be safe from a Kayn gank, judging by the fact that he just took his Gromp and his blue buff. So we should be alright here to play more aggressive if we need to. Speaking of which, here we pop the Q and we're running down. So you can see she has PTA procced on her now, and you can see that with that bonus, like 2 auto attacks on the PTA, it does so much damage. The PTA bonus damage is kind of insane. Now here we end up killing the Sona, but however, unlike what we expected, Kayn actually comes in for a gank, and somehow we actually kill the Lucian behind enemy lines. And honestly, I think I knew I was dead there, which is why I committed to doing damage to the Lucian, and somehow I actually got the kill onto him. So we end up trading 2 for 2, despite the fact that the enemy came in for a gank, which is a huge win for us. But somehow I managed to kill Lucian because Lucian was focusing the Nami instead, and we do end up killing Lucian and end up coming out on top in the situation. However, I would say that a mistake that I made was depending on whether I want to give the kill to Kayn or the Lucian. However, I think it would have been better if I just ran into the tower and let the tower kill me so that Kayn doesn't get a kill or an assist, whereas now Kayn gets the kill, but there's an extra person on the enemy team getting gold. Although that's arguable, because if Kayn gets the gold, it's not really directly affecting me, but whereas if Lucian gets the goal, it is going to make it a lot more troublesome for me. So kind of a debate here. Lucian barely survives here, so I'm going to have to just run him down. Last auto attack to finish the job. Now we're running down the Sona as well. Nice bubble goes in by the Nami. Glacial is procced. We lose vision, and she is getting the fruit. So we're going to have to commit both Ashe and Nami ult to CC her in place to secure the kill. Arguably not worth with objectives spawning. However, 2 ults for a kill is, not the worst in the world. We at least do secure the kill onto the Nami. Onto the Sona. And we are now 4-1. So pretty decently fed, about 1k gold ahead of the Lucian at this point. In a pretty good spot. Lucian looks like he's going for a Triforce, not Triforce. I don't know why I'm talking all this garbage all of a sudden, but he looks like he's going for an IE first item, which is a pretty, coin flip kind of first item to go for. Now our Jarvan is dead, unfortunately, so we cannot really contest either objective. So of course we can see that they're on the dragon, and for some reason Akali and Jace are walking there, probably to donate some kills to the enemy team. But there's not much we can really do without our dragon and without our jungler. Oh my goodness, just sprouting nonsense at this point. So here we're pretty much in a 1v1 with me and the Lucian. So now we are just kind of just clearing wave, and honestly I believe if Lucian goes in onto us, there is a world where we kill him. Not with a huge minion wave like this, but there is a world where we can 1v1 kill the Lucian just because of how far ahead we are. But it would be pretty close, because Lucian also has pressed the attack and he does a lot of early game damage. So it would be close. I'm not really looking to really try that. Here the Nami ulti goes in. Unfortunately I miss my ulti, so we don't actually end up getting the kill onto the Lucian. But we are still going to try to run him down. He's still taking a bunch of damage. The Sona stun once again comes in to ruin our lives. And there's not too much we can do. We do have enough gold for Bloodthirster now though, so we are going to try to back to get the Bloodthirster. Now something that I didn't really mention all that much is actually the leveling order of Ashe. Now I did say in my basic guide to max W first, which used to be the way to go for Ashe, but nowadays kind of a new leveling order has developed where regardless of Ashe build, it's actually nowadays better to max Q to just get the extra attack speed and scaling compared to just maxing W. Now previously maxing W was always better because you get more arrows, more spread and things like that, but now with Ashe focusing so heavily on auto attacks, it doesn't really matter all that much anymore to get that spread on the W. And just maxing Q is just overall just going to be better. Now here Sona is just getting completely destroyed. We're committing onto the Sona, we get the kill onto her. Now Kayn has ulted me. I'm just going to walk as far back as I can to make it hard for him to escape. We eventually do get the kill on him, but he almost kills me. He is doing pretty decently. He was 203 with a Youmuu's at that point, so he does pack a punch. But thankfully we have 4 people focusing him down, and we are able to get the kill on him before he can kill me. Lucian does indeed have the IE completed, so he's going for a complete kind of coin flip build, where if you get a few lucky crits with that IE, you could be doing a ton of damage, but you could also be doing no damage. Now here Lucian makes the mistake of just walking into the bush. Both me and Nami hit the bubble and the arrow onto him, and he just evaporates instantly. Yeah, honestly didn't know Nami was going to bubble. If not, I may not even have needed to arrow, but we both use our CC at the same time, catch him inside the bush, basically with his pants down, and he's just gone. Eliminated from the map and sent back to the gray screen. So with that, this allows us to secure the bot lane tower, because Sona cannot defend the tower by herself. And in fact, if we had saved our ulti, we might have been able to kill Sona on the tower there with the help of the stun. But yeah, so here now we're just rotating over to mid lane with the bot lane already secured. You can see the rest of our lanes are not doing too hot. Akali is kind of even with the Teemo. Jarvan is honestly, in terms of gold, he is kind of even with the Kayn, despite the fact that the Kayn has gotten a really nice KDA, whereas Jarvan does not. And Jace also relatively even. So the entire team's gold lead is just my lead over the Lucian, because everybody else is kind of doing about the same as their counterpart, just a few hundred gold apart at most. So here, they end up over pushing, and we basically go in for the stun with the arrow onto the Sona. Sona does get picked off, and here I'm chasing Lucian. However, I can't really reach Lucian, so I don't really want to chase all the way in. Akali is going in, ends up running into 3 people, and just gets one shot, which is kind of why I didn't want to run all the way in, because we don't have vision of the enemy team. So instead, we're just going to hop back over to the wave and clear out the wave. Galio, in the meanwhile, is getting picked, because obviously 3 of his teammates are, in the blue side jungle, so they can't really help him, and he does end up going down. So I just need a little bit more gold for Runan's Hurricane. So I'm quickly trying to farm up the Crux here to secure my Runan's Hurricane. And here Teemo and Kayn are kind of chasing into our team. We are able to get a decent amount of damage onto Teemo, but we end up not doing all that much to him. And of course Kayn did get the kill, near the Krug area, where we weren't. So the next dragon is spawning, and is of course going to be a huge fight, probably. And here, speaking of huge fight, Sona gets caught by the Nami wave. I'm just slowly running her down. Teemo blind comes in, but I am eventually able to run him down. Lucian is now kind of getting caught. Arrow goes in onto him. He dodges the bubble, but it still ends up going down, and I pick up a triple kill. Now, Kayn and Galio are the only two left on the team. We still have to be cautious though, because Nami is pretty low. Kayn can probably one-shot me even though I'm almost full health. And he is, of course, the jungler, so he can't always just suicide for a steal. Galio is trying to come in. I'm just zoning him away with the help of my W and my slows. He does dash away, otherwise he would have just gotten run down by me. So we are able to secure the dragon. I'm 10-1-1. Most fed member of the game by quite some margin. Next most fed member is Kayn, who now does have 2 items. Now, of course, no matter how fed I am still quaking in my boots when I see Kayn, because Kayn can one-shot me, whereas I can't do the same to him. I believe even if I hit my arrow onto him, I'm not going to one-shot him before he comes out of the arrow, so I definitely don't want to mess around with him. I'm just hoping and praying that he targets someone who's not me, which more or less has been what he's doing so far. But it's only going to be a matter of time before he realizes that there's no point ulting the 0-5 Jarvan when you can ult the 10-1 Ashe. So yeah, I believe that it will happen sooner or later. Speaking of which, he does end up killing Akali. Now, someone's pinging to attack the mid lane tower, but we don't have a wave. So in the meantime, we're just doing what we can, which is to current jungle the enemy raptors. So now here we quickly clear the wave. And Galio is now getting caught out. I'm just going to launch the slow to just slow him down. I'm getting zoned off completely by the Sona ult. So instead, I'm going to go to focus the mid tower since I now have a wave. I get the mid tower and able to rejoin the fight through mid. And we end up getting the kill on Kayn, as in we being my team. And now I'm focusing the tier 2 mid tower, but the fight is still ongoing. So here I'm trying to help out with the fight. Flashes and dashes just come out everywhere to just escape. I did have my ult, so if I instantly committed and ulted Lucian, I might have been able to kill him, but honestly, you know, I wasn't too confident, so I did not do that. We pick up the tier 2 tower though, and we leave a ward crucially at the point where the mid lane splits into the 2 junglers. Now this is a really good ward spot against the enemy team, because this kind of shows you who is walking down mid lane and who is like you know, turning into the jungle and things like that. So now you know, our team is kind of dead, so there's not too much we can do at the moment. So we're just gonna focus on keeping our farm up. We now have our IE completed. Obviously, that's a really huge power spike because it's gonna give our crits a lot more damage and puts us to 50% crit. Looks like most of the enemy team members are in the mid lane, so we are kind of just hovering around this mid lane area. Not too sure if this bush is warded though, so looks like it isn't, because Galio just walks straight in together with the Sona. We are just going to stay around the area just in case a fight breaks out. Not too much else to do. In the meanwhile, we're just trying to farm the raptors. But Jarvan pretty much just takes all of the raptors anyways. Yeah, but he's kind of building full, not full tank, but he has Triforce into tank, so probably goes better spent on us. Anyways, here Nami gets a pretty nice catch with the wave and the bubble. We get the pick onto the Sona. Kayn is on the right side, and we are aware of that. So we are cautious of him coming in from behind. Now here, I know he's coming in from behind, so I'm committing to the front of the fight, because I know the moment he reaches me, which as you guys can see here, he's just going to one-shot me. So the best I can do, I can't run backwards because we know Kayn is there. So the only way I can run is forward. So the best I can do is to run forward and to try to get some kills before I die. And I could argue that since I could see Kayn the entire time, I shouldn't be walking past him and giving him a flank. But honestly, I didn't really think about that at that point in time. So maybe the mistake here was just to walk past the Kayn. And we should have not just walked past the Kayn. We should have just given up the chase. But as you can see, in the grand scheme of things, we end up trading 3-4-4, which is a positive trade for my team. So it's not the worst in the world. Sorry. We just got another, Jace just got another kill. So we end up trading 3-4-5. So overall, I guess you could say it's a win for my team. And Jace is also getting pretty fed, going for a full lethality kind of build here with 3 lethality items. You can see he's going for the Serpent's Fang, the Collector, and he's about to complete his Edge of Night on his next base. So here there's a huge wave that's accrued in the bot lane. Jace and Akali are fighting over it. So I'm just going to go for the red buff. I'm going to let Jarvan take it, of course, for the buff share. And the next dragon is coming out in 30 seconds. Now this is sold for neither team here, so it's not really that valuable of a dragon. But since I'm personally very strong, I am looking to have a fight in the dragon so that I can, of course, just DPS and kill people. Of course, for that I need my team to, particularly my Jarvan, to frontline for me. And I'm just DPS from the back is ideal. However, we're losing mid lane priority, so we're gonna go for the mid lane instead. Now the enemy team actually is able to sneak the Baron while we're waiting for Dragon to spawn, which is a very, very intelligent move by the enemy team that we weren't really aware of until we're too late. So now here is a very awkward situation because the enemy team is half trying to reset and half trying to go for the dragon. And my team is trying to decide whether we should go for the resetting enemy team or for the dragon. Eventually, I decide personally to commit to the dragon fight. So I see Kayn coming in from behind. So once again, the only way I can go is forward. So I'm going to hex slash forward, kill the Galio, and Kayn actually nearly gets finished off. You can see his ult nearly just one-shots. He nearly one-shots me from full health despite the fact he's 1 HP. And we do end up killing him. So we're going to QSS the Sona stun together with the Nami speed up. I thought would be enough to catch up to her, but turns out that's not the case. So the enemy team now has 4 members dead. Only the Sonas left alive, so they're going to lose a lot of their Baron time. But here you can see instead of going for the dragon that's not very valuable at all, we're going to run to the base, hex slash out, and try to stop the minion wave from destroying our inhibitor tower, which is definitely more valuable than the dragon at this point, because the inhibitor is, huge. It creates so much pressure, especially when Elder Dragon spawns in 2 minutes, so we definitely can't let our inhib go down, especially in trade for a mountain dragon that's meaningless. So here, for good measure, I'm going to push out 1 to 2 more waves. I think this should suffice. And I want to make my way to the dragon, because the enemy team can obviously see me, clearing the ward and pushing the wave and things like this. So they know I'm not there. So this is prime time for the enemy team to start a fight. When the Fed carry of, the enemy team is not around. Now on my way, I'm getting mid lane parity. The fight is already breaking up. I'm going to launch my arrow there to help out my team. Unfortunately, it goes in between the goalposts somehow. Despite the fact that there's so many enemies to hit, I hit nobody. Anyways, we're able to kill the Kayn. And now we're on the chase for Teemo as well as Galio. I run into a Shroom, and Teemo ends up blinding me. I end up QSSing the Sona ulti that I could see was coming, but it's too late. I end up dying to the Teemo poison and his blind. Now, of course, Teemo blind is a huge counter to any ADC, simply due to the fact that it pretty much removes all of your damage here. I couldn't auto attack, which means I couldn't heal, which means I couldn't DPS, which just means that I basically just die, as you guys saw right there. So next up, we have completed 4 of our items already. All the core items are there. We're gonna go for a last item, and as I mentioned, I am gonna go for the magnetic blaster because I do think that that's very useful, and I love having 100% crit. In this particular game, you could argue that it is a pretty good game for Bork. Of course, because we have Galio, who does have a heart steal, who is pretty tanky, but honestly, the rest of the enemy team is not that tanky. So I felt that overall, killing Galio wasn't really a problem at this point in time. So I just thought that I would get higher value from magnetic blaster overall, which I still think is the case, by the way. So I do think I went for the correct itemization here. Elder Dragon is spawning very soon, and this time I can't really wait for the Jarvan because we need to get into position to contest the Elder Dragon. So there is that. Now we can see Kayn is coming in to kill the Akali, and Akali just gets picked off right before not right before, but as the Elder Dragon spawns, which is pretty horrendous. And yeah, so here Jarvan goes in, so I make a decision to flash the wall and just kill people. Basically, we get a double kill, and now we're chasing in. Here, honestly, if we ulted the Kayn, I would have actually survived this. I would have actually killed him. So the mistake here, I get a quadra kill, but the mistake here was trying to ult the Sona who was escaping. I should have ulted the Kayn who was next to me and killed him. If Sona really escaped, it wouldn't really have mattered. And in the end, I didn't even need the ult to kill the Sona. You can see that she died before the ulti connected. So I should have ulted the Kayn, killed the Kayn, and then maybe gone for the Sona, or Sona would have been dead already anyways. And I might even have gotten the Penta there if I just played that slightly better. But yeah, mistakes were made on my part. However, I am able to actually wipe the enemy team, and my team does secure the Elder, and now they're gonna secure the Baron. So I would still say that I was able to kind of win that fight for my team and win the game as well. Now Jace is zoning away the last remaining member of the enemy team, Galio, away from the Baron, although I really don't think that was necessary. I think his time was better spent just getting the Baron himself. But anyways, he does eventually manage to zone away the Galio and get the kill onto the Galio as well. I, of course, respawn with the Baron. And my team is mostly resetting, so I'm also full build at this point. So I'm not really interested in stealing Jarvan's jungle farm. I am, however, interested in taking this blue buff, which I think would benefit me greatly with all the ability haste and the mana it provides. And yeah, here Jarvan wasn't even attempting to take the skull, so I'm just going to quickly grab it. Akali is pushing top, and now we are pushing mid. Nice 4-1 setup. Enemy team is coming onto Akali, which means that we can commit onto the people here. Of course, my team is Elder Dragon, so they're easily going to finish off the remaining people. I don't, so I'm not going to get any other kills. obviously. However, we can, of course, still do the damage. And that's it. We do end the game right here. So I'm going to leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.